Most Etsy sellers think that success comes from finding the perfect keyword or following the latest trends. But the shops that grow consistently longer term are not operating like that at all. They are quietly using a completely different approach. One that's simple, repeatable, and rooted in understanding the customer and understanding the market, i.e., the way the big brands grow. So today I'm going to break down the framework I've been teaching for the last 2 and a bit years, and the one that I use to grow my own shop to a top 1% shop has got hundreds of sellers results, and it's simple and easy, and it will help you to actually finally stop winging it. So let's dive in. The first step in this framework is that you need to understand your dream customer on a deep, real level. This is the foundation. Without this, none of the rest of it works. So many coaches and gurus out there are telling you that you need to niche down, you need to find your niche, but honestly, I absolutely hate that word. It is overused, it is misunderstood, and it's just not what we're doing here. You don't need a niche, you need a deep customer understanding and connection. So before you create your products, before you open up Canva, before you pick up your knitting needles, before you touch your iPad, you need to think about who exactly it is that you are creating for. And that isn't just busy mums or people who like art. That's super vague. You need to really start thinking about their lifestyle, their values, the problem it is that maybe they're trying to run away from, or the desire they're trying to achieve, and think, when they come to Etsy, what is it that they are coming for? So are they trying to solve some problem they've got? Something that keeps them awake at night because they just so badly want to solve it? Are they desperately seeking something? A lifestyle shift, a way to express their identity, a gift that perfectly expresses what this person means to them? Shopping decisions on the whole are very emotionally driven and very emotionally charged. So when you are creating products, you are selling meaning, you are selling identity, you are selling self-expression, you are selling belonging, you are selling a story. You're not just selling stuff. You can get stuff in Tesco. When people come to Etsy, they're looking for something special and something that actually means something to them. And when you start to understand deeply what makes your customer tick, every other decision and every other part of the process gets infinitely easier. The thing is, if you are unclear on who you're selling to, Etsy's going to be unclear on who to show your products to, and when your customers finally do find your products, they're going to be unclear whether they're actually made for them and why they should trust you and buy from you anyway. Once you've understood exactly who your customer is, you need to start to think about market demand and how the Etsy search algorithm actually works. This is where most sellers fall over, because this part is not about finding the keywords with the highest search volume. It's not about finding the most long tail keywords. It's not about finding that perfect keyword. The perfect keyword does not exist. It is a myth that is keeping you stuck, and once you break away from this obsession with the perfect keywords, honestly, business gets a lot easier. I see this with every single seller I work with. They are overcomplicating SEO, they are overcomplicating their keywords, and it's not actually what's making any difference in their business, trust me. So this is all about taking what you know about that customer and then really thinking about what they are thinking and what they are reflecting on when they come to search on Etsy. What is that very specific problem they are trying to solve? And what words are they searching to find the solution? That is literally as complicated as SEO needs to be, because you are not trying to rank for the most popular keywords, you're trying to match that buyer intent. Market fit is all about creating the thing that people are already actively searching for on the Etsy platform. Because you can be the most talented and the most creative person, but if you are not creating products that people actively want and are searching for, then you will never be able to succeed on Etsy. Art is the perfect example of this. Hundreds of thousands of people come to Etsy every day, every week to search for wall art. But when people come to Etsy, they don't know who you are yet. They're not coming to find you specifically. They're coming to find art that matches what they are looking for right now. They're coming to look for wall art that matches their personality, that expresses a part of their identity, that matches their vibe so they actually want it in their home. You need to create with that in mind for that one customer. Outside of Etsy, people might be following you for your art. They might be following you because they love your style, they love your vibe, they love you as a person. But on Etsy, they don't know you yet, so you need to match that intent first, and then they can get to know you later and start to follow you and start to come back and buy from you over and over again. You just need to keep in mind that Etsy is a different platform than a platform where somebody already knows you and already knows your work. So you need to create with that in mind for that one customer, and please, for the love of God, please stop trying to please every single shopper on Etsy. Just focus on that one customer, and that is how you carve out your niche, if that's what you still want to call it. Generic catch-all shops, they might get that initial boost in traffic, that initial boost in sales, but they always die out eventually when they get hundreds of other shops popping up, copying what they do and jumping on the same trends. Go after that one person, create with that person in mind. That leads me on to product positioning, and this is the part that almost every seller I know skips. Because once you've understood your customer and you've understood the market demand, the next step is positioning your products intentionally for that market fit. So most sellers are creating a product, uploading it to Etsy, and just hoping it sells. But real growth comes from shaping your products around what you identified as important to your customer. Positioning means, does your product solve that problem that they are searching for the solution to? Does it match that desire that they're trying to achieve? Does it express their identity? Does it feel made for that person? This is why so many shops with amazing products barely ever get any sales, because they've missed that connection piece, they've missed that market fit piece, and they haven't managed to pull it all together to position their products properly. They've missed that positioning piece, and so the amazing products they've created are just floating around in the algorithm abyss, and they're never going to be found by anyone, which absolutely breaks my heart. So once you have figured out your customer, you've figured out the market demand, and you've positioned your products at that intersection of the two, you need to set up your listings in a way that they convert. This part is not optional, and this part is infinitely more important than your SEO. Trust me on that one. Because this is the piece that pulls it all together. Yes, absolutely, you need to put words into your description that match what your customer is searching for when they come to Etsy. Your SEO gets you visibility, but only to a certain extent. Your conversion rate is what gets you sales, and it's actually what gets you the ongoing visibility. And this is the part that nobody talks about. Your listing needs to clearly position your products as the solution that they're seeking. It needs to show the benefits of the products that you identified are important to your customer, not just a complete list of features. It needs to answer questions before your customer has even thought about them. So I call them the silent questions that your customer might be thinking. That might be around quality, sizing, fit, all of those things. It needs to build trust and connection so that your customer feels safe to check out. And you do that through quality images, quality mock-ups, showing your face wherever possible, and creating that bond and that connection and showing your customer why you are the person to choose over the hundreds of other sellers selling something similar on Etsy. And above all, it needs to be crystal clear, because confused people do not convert. If you take anything away from this section, that is the most important piece. Confused customers don't buy. And here's actually an extra little nugget that I didn't plan to include. Buyers are lazy. And I say this with so much love. As a population, we are lazy when it comes to buying. We don't want to have to think too hard. We don't want to have to go searching for information. We don't have to read through reams and reams and reams of product information to find the answer to what we're looking for. Make sure the really important things your customer needs to know are pulled into your images as well as your description. That way your customer isn't having to go and hunt for all of the information they need. And I've seen conversion rates literally double as a result of doing this. The thing is, for most of us, we don't want to attract the customers that are buying because we are the cheapest on the market. That is never a customer we want it to go after, which is why I've not mentioned price at any point in this. The people we're going after are buying from us because our listing made the most sense to them, connected on the highest level with them, and actually actively want to buy from us as a business, not just anyone else on Etsy. The best part when you actually nail this part is you obviously go on to get more sales because you're converting more of that traffic into sales, but then the more those buyers then also go on to leave amazing reviews, the more you actually get pushed out in search and get more visibility on your listings, because Etsy loves those positive sales signals, so you go on to be found by even more customers. Which leads me on to your customer experience, your reviews, and your repeat buyers. This is the penultimate part of the framework that so many people miss. Etsy actively pushes out listings that generate positive experiences for their customers. You have to remember that when you make a sale on Etsy, that customer is Etsy's customer, not just yours. Etsy invests a lot of money to create this platform for us to sell on, to advertise the platform, to bring those built-in buyers in. So why would they send traffic to shops that don't uphold the highest possible standards of customer service? Ultimately, if someone has a bad experience on Etsy, that can damage Etsy's reputation as a whole, which is why many established shops saw the impact of all of those scam sellers popping up a few years ago that Etsy have finally seemed to have taken down, when so many people were getting scammed and Etsy started to get a really bad reputation as being a site full of scammers. A lot of customers don't differentiate the fact that there are millions of sellers on the platform, and so you're probably going to get a different experience from each one. But coming back to the main point of this, Etsy is always going to promote the shop that give their customers the best possible experience, and so that should be your main focus for every customer that you get. Make sure they have the most amazing experience with you. So think fast responses to your customers, dealing with any problems professionally and quickly without any hiccups, and encouraging your customers to leave great reviews when they have a great experience with you. The bonus of this is not only does it help Etsy to trust you more and to push you out in front of more customers, but if you create an amazing experience for that customer, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to come back time and time again to buy from you because you created an amazing experience for them. Just this week, I spent a small fortune on products from a seller, and it arrived like this. It was crushed, the stuff inside was damaged, and generally the experience was quite underwhelming, especially the service that I got afterwards, when it took me ages to get a response from the seller to replace the product that was broken. And the product itself was fine, but the experience overall was rough. And don't get me wrong, I know it's not their fault that that product arrived damaged and then it was manhandled by the courier, but the way they handled the experience afterwards was the actual problem here, and I know I won't go on to buy from that seller again. Compare that to the small business that I've been buying from and going back to year after year after year, because the experience they create through their packaging, through their products, through their customer service, even through their social channels is so magical and so amazing. And it literally is just some simple packaging and a sweet note. Who do you think is going to win longer term? The final part of the framework is consistency, tracking, and incremental growth. This is your growth engine. Look, successful sellers don't just post randomly and hope for the best. They are showing up consistently. They are paying attention to the data and they are making decisions off the back of it. Now, I want to be clear, you are going to need to list a lot of products when you are first starting out on the platform. Until you're at the point where you are happy with the income you're making on Etsy, you're going to need to be listing regularly, ideally every week. Etsy themselves have even told us that this is important when you first open a new shop. Because the thing is, you're still finding your sweet spot at this point. You are still figuring out what works. You're still figuring out that market fit. You're still figuring out your product positioning. And when you do figure all of that out, you'll know because you'll be able to finally take your foot off the gas a little bit and let your shop coast along, making those sales without having to do too much heavy lifting to actually generate the sales in the first place. At that point, you can just continue to grow at your own pace. You can make changes seasonally and you can just keep an eye on the market and the demand and make sure you're shifting in line with market trends. Ultimately, you need to see Etsy as a testing platform until you understand what it takes for your Etsy shop to take off. And I do not mean that you should just be churning out a volume of listings that are absolute garbage just to hit a quota on Etsy and hoping that something sticks. Quality will always override quantity, and you're always going to have to work at the pace that works for you. But you will get faster with every rep that you put in. These days, I can have a listing designed, made, uploaded within 20 minutes. So trust me when I say putting the reps in and getting better and getting faster, it's worth it longer term. The more you list, the faster you'll learn. The more you track, the faster you'll understand what works. And all of this compounds over time. You get faster, your products get better, your sales grow. Etsy is not a platform where you're going to shoot to success overnight. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistent nurturing and showing up and tracking the data and paying attention to what works until you grow to a point where you actually are happy with your income. But trust me, speaking from experience, when you start to make a full-time income from the platform without really having to do anything to generate those sales, you will realize how worth that effort was, no matter how long it took to get there. This last month, I've been doing an accountability challenge in my mentor's membership to grow my membership. And the only thing I've changed, the only thing I've been doing is showing up consistently every single day for 10 minutes, tracking my numbers, tracking exactly what I've been doing and working on, making a note of it all and keeping it in one place and just showing up and getting that accountability that I've done those things each day. That 10 minutes a day of tracking and paying attention to the data and where it moved helped inform what I would do the next day. And as a result, I managed to grow my recurring revenue in my membership by around $300. And the best part is we moved up over 200 places in search discovery in one of the most competitive categories on School, which is kind of a bit like trying to rank on the first page of Etsy search. And now I know if I keep holding myself accountable, I keep tracking and I keep showing up for those 10 minutes every day to inform what I do the next day, I know our community can become a top 1% community on School itself. It just hit me. That is exactly how I grew my Etsy shop to a top 1% shop. So why wouldn't it work on School as well? Tiny steps repeated consistently create huge momentum down the line. Doesn't matter how long it takes, I know it will happen eventually if I keep going the way I'm going. So I didn't change what I did every day. I didn't chase a new shiny object. Showed up, I tracked my numbers, I chatted with my peers, and I got support every week from my mentor to help me course correct and check I was on the right path whenever I had a little wobble. And look, you can figure this out by yourself. I did it, I worked it out without any support. It took me years and years and loads of trial and error, but I worked it out by myself. But having grown this business so much faster by getting support, by being around other people that were doing the same thing, by learning from each other, by sharing experiences, just being around people that are doing the same thing, having people have your back, a mentor to get feedback from and to help me figure out my blind spots, I've realised it does make a huge difference. And that says a lot coming from someone who is very stubborn, likes to do everything themselves, and can't ever ask for help. So if you're like that as well, you are always more than welcome to come and join us inside the Seller Society. But either way, you have got the framework now, you know what works, take it and run with it. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.